In the first age, in the first battle, when the shadows first lengthened, one stood. Burned by the embers of Armageddon, his soul blistered by the fires of hell and tainted beyond ascension, he chose the path of perpetual torment. In his ravenous hatred he found no peace, and with boiling blood he scoured the umbral plane seeking vengeance against the Dark Lords who had wronged him. He wore the crown of the Night Sentinels, and those that tasted the bite of his sword named him the Doomslayer. To know where Doom the Dark Ages will take us, first we need to go back to the origin of it all. The planet of Argent D'Nur lay lifeless in space, a barren land similar to our own before life inhabited our planet. This changed when a huge shard of rock and metal known as the World Spear or Cosmic Spear, as seen in the Ancient Gods Part 2, impaled the planet of Argent D'Nur. This is where the Wraiths come in other words the Ancient Gods. It is not clear if the Wraiths were within the huge shard or whether they were dormant within the planet itself, but this event released them. These beings brought life to the planet. See this as an equivalent to the Big Bang. Fierce beasts were created first, including the giant ancestrals, in other words the Titans. Eventually the Wraith Call, the thing that sparked life, gave rise to the Argent people. Humans were created. The Wraiths gave them magic, making them able to fight back against the ancestrals. The Argent people, thankful for this, helped form the Night Sentinels to protect the Wraiths, in other words, to protect their gods. This is where the Makers now come in, beings from the realm of Urdak. The Argent people were swayed by these beings. They were promised a type of heaven, a great city in the clouds. It's ironic that in the Dark Ages trailer we see a Maker-like city in the clouds, but engulfed in flames, probably the place resided by the Khan Maker. And unlike the first ones, in other words the Wraiths, whose presence offered no paradise from fear and uncertainty of existence, the embrace of the Makers was warm, and the Argent people felt guided to spiritual prosperity. The Night Sentinels then went almost on crusade-type missions. They went to other worlds to spread the word to other lands. They say that our beliefs became their own, supported by our own gods, who were the Makers. This shows their influence and the passing on of their creed to other races and planets. In the history of the Sentinels, it also stated that at this point, the Argent people traversed the stars with gleaming war fleets. Maybe that is what we see when the Slayer gets shot out in the Dark Ages trailer and lands on the ground. The ship he gets shot out from has definitely got a Maker design aesthetic. The first ever demonic attack to Argent D'Nur happened on the eve of the Black Star. This could signify some type of eclipse, or maybe an atmospheric event. This is when the Sentinels first battle the demons, with Doomguy within their ranks. This begins the era known as the Unholy Wars. And a key thing is mentioned in the history of the Sentinels Part 7. It says, "The passing of years and innumerous battles with the devils indentured the stranger, who was Doomguy, to Argenta's mightiest warriors, and no longer did they condescend to him as a new-blooded conscript. For them he had become a brother in arms forged in war, an ally, and a weapon." This is important, that word weapon, as it links to the Dark Ages trailer, which said, before he was a hero, he was the super weapon for gods and kings. So this gives us an indication of what timestamp the Dark Ages is focused on. The Unholy Wars have already started, and Doomguy has been battling the demons alongside the Night Sentinels for a period of time. He is considered one of their own, a weapon to help their fight against the demonic hordes. So that's where the Dark Ages is set, but what is actually happening? Well, King Novik rules Argenta. The Makers are the current gods of the Argentan people. However, this time, the Dark Star, whatever that is, ascended to its zenith, and suddenly a howling darkness begins to assemble just beyond the mountain rise to the east. And then the event called the Blight occurs. demons come upon the Argenta people in droves, flooding from hell, and this time they bring the biggest titan ever seen, called the Dreadnought. It was a total demonic assault, striking at the heart of Argent D'Nur as never before, and we see this on the trailer. We see the cities of Tarasnabad and Sentinel Prime under attack. We see the forest decimated, the city being brawn to the ground, and we see the Sentinel Prime Colosseum in the background. That's where Doomguy proved himself when he first appeared in Argent D'Nur. Doomguy is part of the Night Sentinels, already proven to be an extraordinary combatant, known to battle the demons with a controlled lust for blood alongside the other Sentinel troops. It's during this attack where Doomguy excels even more. It's said that as the Night Sentinels were pushed back into the blood arena, which is the Colosseum, he now raised as none had before, a stubborn Sentinel fighter, the very best among them. So it seems that during this event of the Blight, Doomguy went not only from being one of the best weapons of destruction that the Night Sentinels had, but he pushed back even more against the demons than he'd ever done previously. And it's during this onslaught where Sama, or Samuel Hayden, takes Doomguy to the divinity machine in secret, and this imparts him fierce speed and power. And this then gives rise to the Great Slayer, his eyes burning with Maker magic and a crucible in hand. It's said that in our darkest hour the Slayer had been chosen, he had been blessed with celestial might. It is now that it mentions that the mighty Atlans were brought forth tearing paths through the hordes of hell, huge war machines imbued with Maker technology. The Sentinels with the Slayer now at their helm continue to battle demons through years of war. What is not clear yet is which elements of this we will get to experience in Doom the Dark Ages. According to the Night Sentinel history, the Atlans seem to come after Doomguy is put in the divinity machine. In other words, when he is now the Slayer. So it appears that we may relive his arc from a Night Sentinel warrior to becoming the Great Slayer, and then having these bigger battles against the Dreadnought, as we see in the trailer. An interesting point is whether we will have any mention of a character called the Wretch, which is mentioned in some of the lore for Doom 2016. The Wretch is mentioned in the Slayer's Testament Part 6, and it says this: "In his terrible rancor between worlds and through time, the Hellwalker, in other words Doomguy, found the Wretch who shall not be named, but in his heresy was loyal to his evil cause. The Wretch adorned the Doomslayer in mighty armor, with sword and shield of incredible strength." This is important because it's the first time there's any mention of a shield, and obviously in Doom the Dark Ages, we see that this time round, Doomguy or Doomslayer has got a shield. This might just be coincidence, or it might not mean anything at all, but it's an interesting point that could be elaborated on in the new game. One thing is for sure, we will get to experience the rise of Doomguy from a Night Sentinel to the great legend known as the Slayer, and I cannot wait to see how other characters like Khanmaker, Sama, the Wraiths, King Novik, maybe even the Wretch, are weaved into this next installment.